My dear friends, this is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I would very much like to continue on with the 31 days of cop films and gangster films from the year 1970 to the present day. And it is my hope that this can afford us, you and I, with the opportunity to talk about as many films as possible over the course of these 31 days. And in that spirit, my dear friends, I'd like to focus today, specifically this video, on the cop film genre. Now, as we know, the cop film genre, and indeed any genre of cinema, including the other genre during the 31 days, the gangster film genre, this cop film genre, police film genre, I think, is so, so malleable and so much. It has so many possibilities in terms of various subgroupings, subcategories, and even further divisions from there, subgroupings, subcategories, etc. Because there have been so many examples, so many interpretations, so many ways in which this genre of cinema has been handled over the course of the history of cinema and from many parts of the world, as we know. One such part of the world is Italy. And we have touched upon, so far in the past 31 days, we have touched upon the era of cinema, or Italian cinema, especially focusing in on 1970s crime films or police crime films, known as, and please pardon me for my poor pronunciation of the English language, but known as poliziotteschi. And so today I'd like to focus in on what is often regarded as another great example of the poliziotteschi, and this is from 1976. And the filmmaker is, or the director is, Ruggero Deodato, the one, the only Deodato. And this is also having a screenplay credited to Fernando Di Leo. And it has Ray Lovelock and Mark Porel and Adolfo Celli and others. This is a film about police. It is about police that are essentially doing what it is they are tasked to do, which is to catch criminals and to stop crime and to make investigations. And we focus in especially on two characters, the Ray Lovelock and Mark Porel characters. But they seem to be going perhaps above and beyond sometimes. They seem to be, they are sometimes having fun, but also they might be bending or even breaking the rules in order to achieve their objectives. This is a very interesting film in that way, setting up their adventures in an episodic way, which allows for a lot of action and mayhem indeed. And I'm speaking of this work once again from 1976. Please pardon me for my poor pronunciation of the language once again, but it is in Italian. Uomini si nasce, poliziotti si muore, and Uomini si nasce, poliziotti si muore, or in English, live like a cop, die like a man. And as I say, Ray Lovelock and Mark Porel are the two, police officers in question, and they are given wide lateral authority to use their force as law enforcement officers to essentially try to track down, trace, and crack down on various criminal elements that come their way, including, engaging in fights, brawls, and exciting chases. For example, this film, it's very famous for a lot of things, but one of the things it is famous for is a very electrifying chase involving motorcycles, and so it's in Rome, and so it's a very exciting way to open, and it then opens the door for a lot of these plot threads involving police enforcement, involving the crime element, involving trying to bring down the boss, and being able to do that through legal means, or maybe not being able to accept by breaking the rules or bending the rules, and seeing how far that takes these characters. And perhaps it is filmed in that way, not necessarily focusing in on the corrupt, immoral nature of police corruption on that side, but perhaps looking at it from the genre lens, from the police crime thriller 1970s lens, looking at it as an example of entertainment, relying on genre traits to maybe achieve a sense of this type of machismo that is involved in the characters here. And this is true for, I think, a wide range of characters. So this is a film that is very thoroughly within the crime film genre, the police film genre, and is doing it, I think, in an unabashed way, in a very type of direct way. But it's also doing it in an electrifying and episodic way. As I say, it is a film that does feel like it has certain episodes or bits, and so it might be said. And I think the back of the '88 film's release here says it's a let me see, it's an exciting and extravagantly plotted police thriller. And I like the phrasing of that, extravagantly plotted. That's one way of putting it. Another way to put it, perhaps, is it is a linking of various episodes that have a type of relation or dynamic. But rather than calling it, let's say, an epic film, I wouldn't necessarily go so far to say that, but that's not taking anything away from it. Rather, I would call it a film that is dealing with these characters as they go from sort of situation to situation to situation, each feeding or fueling the, say, the genre trends of the 1970s police crime thriller, the poliziotteschi. And so you have the cops and the tough guys and their interactions with unsavory elements and trying to track down the big boss element. Maybe they're getting pressure from their superiors on the force, and they have to stay within bounds. They get in trouble, and they are also very cool. They use their charm and they use their wits to try to solve each particular situation, etc. They have interactions with say women and the like. So these sorts of traits or feelings or elements, I think, are what make up a lot of the very popular examples of the poliziotteschi. And I think this film, Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man, has those elements very much so, in a very confident and very, I think, entertaining way. And it is a film that also has its share of action set pieces. I mentioned an opening set piece that's really quite exciting and exhilarating. It's done in this wonderful, one might call it a wonderful genre way, but there's nothing against that. There's nothing wrong with that. On the contrary, it feels very rugged, feels very urgent, which I really appreciate and enjoy. And there are also scenes of sort of intense violence as well, confrontation, sensuality, and also it does build. I mean, I mentioned that it does have an episodic structure, but it does have a through line of plot, and that having to do with leading up to the circumstances of what the climactic conclusion, and what will our heroes do in these seemingly dire straits situations involving kidnapping, involving potential death and mayhem and explosions and destruction, and a final confrontation or showdown between the good guys and the bad guys, and who will come out on top in the end, and will they become physically and morally unscathed, or perhaps is there more to this than meets the eye? And so therein lies, I think, a certain level of intrigue and suspense. Of course, don't get me wrong, but it is, I think, a film that, rather than focusing in directly on, say, the questions of morality or amorality or immorality, not to say that it doesn't touch upon these within the context of the genre, but rather than, say, focusing on them, I would suggest that it does have instead the element of wanting to entertain, or wanting to be, I think, thoroughly an example of the genre, the police crime film genre, which is in many ways as an example of cinema, meant to entertain. And I think in those ways, I think this film, Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man, I think succeeds very, very well. I mean, this is a very entertaining film, and if you're looking for an example of a poliziotteschi film, this is a great place to go. I mean, this is considered one of the great examples, most popular examples of poliziotteschi from one of the great masters of Italian cinema from this period, Deodato. And so we have, and also his, this is very interesting in the context of the filmography of Deodato. If you know what I'm talking about, you know that maybe this is an interesting or unique example of that really fascinating Deodato filmography. but here we have, I think, a sense of almost a carefree spirit, a no holds barred type of approach to this cinematic entertainment, and it's like many examples of the genre, the police genre, gangster film genre. I mean, these films, they will have their great fans. Maybe some people will not like them, but that is certainly okay because, as I say, live like a cop, die like a man. I think is unabashed, unashamedly and proudly wearing its crime film bona fides with great style and great flourish, and with, I think, type of wonderful sense of confidence as to what it is. It is a very confident film. I think it is a film that is thoroughly part of the storytelling aspects of the Poliziotteschi, and it has, as I say, a very easy to follow of line or lines of episodic structure, with the characters at the center. These two characters, Ray Lovelock and Mark Porrell, and to a certain degree, Adolfo Celli, who form a really interesting duo or trio going forward in the context of the cop film. So, live like a cop, die like a man. I can say that this is really exciting Poliziotteschi, and as I say, if you haven't had a chance to watch any Poliziotteschi works or the Italian crime film, police crime film genre, then I think this is a good place to start. So please check it out if you can. The work by Ruggero Deodato. This is Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man. Okay, my dear friends, so that's it for now. And so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well. And please keep on watching a lot of great, great movies. Thank you so much, as always, for your time. I very, very much appreciate it. Stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.